Spoilers for up to Season 5, Episode 6 of Only Murders in the Building. This episode finally gives us a clearer picture of the events of the night when Lester and Nicky died. Lester wasn't going to work the Velvet Room door on the night he died. He wanted to attend Oliver's wedding. So who would have been the replacement on the door? Would Lester have asked the newbie doorman Randall to replace him? Or would he have asked a longtime staff member of the Arconia? Or maybe something else? Lester probably attended the wedding fine. But then after the wedding, he got a message from Oliver asking where his shrimp was. Lester went to a freezer to discover Nicky the Neck's body. Who killed Nicky? That's still a question, but the billionaire's goal is obviously to turn the Arconia into the first casino in New York City. Would that be Camilla White's goal with her family's history in gaming? Who killed Lester? What path did the bird call travel from the fountain to Lorraine to Oliver? Who is the killer?
Let's solve Only Murders in the Building, Season 5, Episode 6, Flatbush. The investigation takes Oliver and Loretta back to the streets of his childhood, where buried memories surface and secrets about Lester and Nicky's widows emerge. Mabel and Charles follow leads after a break-in. We'll be breaking down each episode for clues, suspects, and red herrings on the hunt to learn who killed Lester. And I mean seriously, give us a clue. Who killed Nicky the Neck? Whose finger is it? It's not mine. We want to know. Spoilers for the first 4 seasons and the first 6 episodes of Season 5 of Only Murders in the Building. If you haven't seen all these episodes, pause this video.
Dance in an empty elevator to that awesome new bop, Wish That You Were Me, and then come back and watch.
Use the timestamps below to jump to the topic or subject that you'd like to listen to and skip past things you're not interested in. Coming up at the end of the podcast, there will be some spoiler images from a recently released mid-season trailer. They do appear to spoil certain plot points. I'll give you a big warning when they come up at the end.
The credit clue Easter eggs this week feature Howard and Lester again, plus we have the podcast trio in those classic detective threads from Death Rattle Dazzle. In the closing credits, we see this peach logo, the realtor sign, and these platinum album.
It's time to go dumpster diving. It's been 1 week, and that's given us lots of time to look at this trash picture of Lester. Starting in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to notice this wilted flower. Is this the original flower that Nicky the Neck was wearing? Behind the flower, this could be a champagne flute from Oliver's wedding. There are a couple of glass items in this artwork. Down just a bit from the flower, you're going to notice this ring. Have we seen this ring before on a finger? Lots of items seem to be from Oliver's wedding. There's I assume an invoice down here which says it's from Cakes. There's another invoice which says floral service invoice. And what's interesting is it says it's from May of 2024. Is this taking place in the year 2024? You're going to see lots of hints of the word Tommy for Tommy the Tongue. Here's just MMY from an invoice. Another delivery invoice which is talking about cola and seltzer and diet cola. This invoice appears that the address says Flatbush. Is Flatbush actually something you would put on a mailing address? This bit of trash appears to be a receipt from CVS Pharmacy. And this is a bit of fun because if you look at the real-life Arconia, it has a CVS Pharmacy in the building. Here's another invoice to Tommy, and it has the Empire Boulevard address. The final evidence that people are noticing is that, remember, Nicky had his wrist tied, and at Lester's mouth, in the center of the art piece, is rope. Did this rope bind Nicky the Neck's hands? Have I missed any other bits of trash? Let me know down in the comments, dumpster divers. Is there another clue we're missing? I ask this every week, but if you can, please subscribe, comment, and like this video on YouTube. On audio podcasts, subscribe and go to our social media accounts at PHQ. That's the word double, single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We love talking to you because your theories are what make the Clue Crew great. Before we run down the suspects, let's see what episode 5 taught us about the victims. First up, Lester the doorman. I'm so focused on the present in the current episode, a lot of times it's good to go back and look. When we were talking about episode 2 and episode 3 of season 5, we did a close-up of this bird call in the fountain. Some smart members of the Clue crew pointed out that these bird call whistles, a lot of times they need water in them to work. So, we didn't talk about if Lester wanted to use that bird call and he dipped it in the fountain to get some water in it so he could blow the whistle, was Lester trying to signal someone? And if so, who would that person be? Through 6 episodes, I could only see maybe him using the bird call to signal to his wife Lorraine or his birding buddy Vince Fish. Now, Vince lives in the Arconia. It makes sense that you would blow the whistle to alert him. But if he was trying to alert Lorraine, was she even in the Arconia that night?
I mentioned that Lester didn't want to work the Velvet Room door because he wanted to go to Oliver's wedding. Did Nicky the Neck force him? And that's what this photo is. Lester was saving up to retire in the Arconia. And Lester sent a text message to his wife Lorraine with the words, "It's beautiful," of that fountain where they were married. Now, according to Lorraine, the police found Lester's bird whistle on him. She passes it on to Oliver. But did the police find it? And internet detectives, look at all these kids. Was Lester an actor in the production of Oliver in Flatbush?
Nicky the Neck. I've been meaning to say this for a while. There's so many clues and suspects, I always forget to. But I want to go back to Nicky's gardenia being on the wrong side. It was on one side when he was alive. When they found his body, the gardenia was on the wrong side of his jacket. A lot of times in classic murder mysteries, a mistake like this would be made if the person had only seen Nicky in a mirror. So like when you look in a mirror, your right hand is on the left-hand side. So did the killer see Nicky in a mirror? Or is this the way a robot like LESTR would view something? You know, you print it out on a computer or a computer sees it and it has trouble realizing that that flower should be on the opposite side of Nicky. I don't know, just a thought.
The finger. The finger has been taken from Charles's freezer. There's a scuff on the floor. Will that scuff on the floor match the shoes that Mabel just borrowed from Althea? Now let's look at the suspects. LESTR 2.0. The new Lester doorman has a fancy uniform, and it calls Howard Daddy. Woo. Lester doesn't have footage to match Thee's story about outside Charles's apartment. Worse, someone or something is manipulating the security camera footage around the building. Althea. Thee dances in the elevator to her new song. Both Detective Williams and Charles know it. It is a straight-up bop. Thee is quick to realize the podcast trio is on the case. Thee says the night before she saw a flashlight searching in the East Tower. She and Seth Rogen went to look for it, and they saw a light under 14C. Of course, there's no footage to match that. Thee gets very upset about how Mabel treats her, and later she throws shoes. This is serious. You don't throw fists, you throw shoes. Althea feels Mabel ghosted her, and she had to double her Lexapro. As part of coping with that, Althea wrote "Wish That You Were Me" about Mabel. Once again, she thinks Mabel ditched her for her cool city friends, the Hardy Boys. Althea wanted to live in the Arconia because she was jealous and wishes she were Mabel. Mabel and Thee do talk it out. Sunny and Cloudy are reunited. But let's not get too chummy with Althea. The night before this episode, Althea wore an outfit that featured feathers. She's a bird, people. Doesn't Althea have to be a bird in Lester's ledger? Mayor Tillman. If you look at our YouTube poll with over 700 votes, someone from City Hall, like Mayor Tillman and Romy, are in the lead with 37%. Now, this show occasionally goes to Fantasyland, and I look at these hands and I think Mayor Tillman must have all his fingers. But look at this. Look at this, what I noticed from the first episode. Watch Mayor Tillman cover up and kind of play with a finger on his left hand. Now, if the mayor lost a finger, that would be big news. Is this a clue? What do you think? Some people say in episode 5 when Charles shook the mayor's hand and the mayor kind of made a groan and Charles joked, "Well, I've been taking testosterone." That's another clue that it's the mayor's finger. And as you can see, Charles is shaking the mayor's left hand when the mayor grimaces about that pain. What do you think? Lester's wife, Lorraine. Lorraine is selling her house via Spallini's Grosso Realty. She's wearing black. She is in mourning. And she just wants to be alone in a room that's off limits upstairs. When Loretta comes in, Lorraine pulls a dagger on her, but the two bond over their love of the opera Tosca. Lester bought her the dagger at a police auction of their 10th anniversary. They were married for 30 years. Lorraine believes he fell into the fountain of the courtyard where they were married and died. Lorraine is sad. She wants her husband back. She's selling everything. She can't afford to live in a house like that anymore. She's been keeping busy, though, teaching musical theater and opera. The Nonna seems to have all her fingers when she's throwing stuff at Sofia. Sofia parks her minivan in front of a fire hydrant. A minivan is perfect if you want to move a body, am I right? Sofia also has that album, the Tosca opera from Maria Callas, in her house. Sofia claims she keeps coming to see Lorraine to give Lorraine Lester's cut of what he was owed from working the Velvet Room. Bash Steed. The footage has been tampered with in LESTR by tech guys who have the Last Gasp Peach logo on both. The security cameras in the building have that Peach logo. Are they part of Bash Steed? Real quickly, I want to jump back to the realtor artwork. If you look at the artwork, is that a severed finger or a ring on a pinky in the artwork? Now, the realtor, of course, he keeps his left hand in his pocket a lot of the times, but later he shows both hands. Loretta Durkin. Loretta also has that album from Tosca. She has a lot of stuff in her apartment, pictures of her with her son Dickie. The apartment burns down. She's distraught. Was it arson? Is somebody trying to put pressure on Oliver and Loretta to get out of the Arconia? Loretta is told it was an electric fire caused by a kettle. Loretta has a Cajun character she created for SVU called Emily Lawler, and if you listen to Loretta's Emily monologue, that monologue is about violence, about shooting somebody. Is there any chance there's a clue in the monologue? What do you think? Howard really needs Jonathan back. His connection to Lester, the robot doorman, is very disturbing. Oliver Putnam. Oliver was raised by foster parents, and when he was 9 to 12, the parents were Sue and Al. During this time, Oliver was really depressed. All the other kids hear the ice cream man and they run to the van, but Oliver stays depressed. Oliver brings Loretta to a local theater that made him fall in love with the art. He even joined a production of Oliver, but Oliver quit the production because he couldn't work up the courage to tell his foster parents about it. These foster parents, they don't want him to go to any play. They want him to work in the store. Oliver believes some of this emotional baggage is making him hold on to the Arconia, but at the end of the episode, he has decided to move out with Loretta and get a new place for both of them. Is this going to be turned around? Is Oliver moving out? Would Oliver give his apartment to Lorraine because she and Lester wanted to live there so long? Charles Hayden Savage. Charles is rocking an earring. Priscilla likes it. Charles, he needs to get back with Sofia. He can't get a hug from anybody, not Loretta. Once again, get back with Sofia. He hit it, but why did he quit it? Mabel Mora. Mabel claims she didn't ghost Thee. It was just because her friend died. And Mabel also doubled her Lexapro. Sunny and Cloudy appear to be back together, but again, in a lot of shows like this, the fact that Mabel borrowed some shoes from Althea, is it possible that same pink shoe is going to leave a scuff mark on Charles's floor that matches the one by the freezer door?
Let's talk spoilers. The recently released mid-season trailer for Season 5. Bunch of things you can notice. First of all, it has a clearer view in color of Lester on the night he died. Lester is holding the elevator crank in his right hand. In his left hand, it appears to be his cell phone, which we saw on the security footage. The next image shows Teddy Demas and Howard drinking in the lobby. Note the boxes piled up in the background. This ties into the episode descriptions where somebody has possibly bought the Arconia. Althea, V in pink, always in pink. Go back to my Eurasian J theory about Althea. This looks to be, I believe, the lobby of the Arconia with all those police behind her. Is this Althea in a Sunset Boulevard moment? If you know, you know. Later, we see Althea with Vince Fish. Camilla is possibly the one buying the Arconia and turning it into the Camilla Club. These definitely look like Camilla's decorators in the lobby. Camilla pulls a gun. Bash throws a knife. These next two images we're going to talk about, huge spoilers. In the first one, Althea, once again in pink, but she's wearing a Free J Flug t-shirt. Does that mean Jay's going to get arrested? And possibly the biggest spoiler of all. Look at this image. This is Lester the doorman and Miller the trash guy unpacking a box which includes Lester the robot in it. Lester the robot showed up in the Arconia before Lester died. Could that robot have possibly accidentally chopped off somebody's finger? Could the robot have killed Nicky and Lester? Ooh, what do you think? Go down in the comments and let me know. Now let's get to the Clue Crew feedback. Jenny Mack wrote, "My gut milk feeling is that the mayor did it." Juliet wrote, "I would be disappointed if it turned out to be the mayor or his assistant Romy. It would remind me too much of Poppy and Marshall. Those characters have the same amount of screen time as Poppy and Marshall did. It's not an important character to the victims or the podcast trio." Juliet, that's a good point. We really need a killer who would emotionally kind of devastate the podcast trio. Maybe that's Althea. Maybe that's Sofia. We haven't really had one of those since season 1, right? When it was Jan, Charles's girlfriend. Ellie wrote, "You have to watch the official post-show podcast hosted by the actor who plays Howard, Michael Cyril Crichton, because those podcasts have little spoilers." Here's an example Ellie points out. Like when talking about the billionaire's wardrobe, on the official podcast, they mentioned that the billionaire Camilla White wears skin-colored gloves, and it's become part of the scripts. Ellie writes, "I think she's the one missing the finger." Note, in this official artwork for Season 5, we don't see her hands at all. Here's another tidbit. A user with the handle Arctic Haze wrote a comment where they said, on the official podcast, Michael Cyril Crichton, who plays Howard, talked to Jeremy Fowler, the actor who plays Randall. Michael Cyril Crichton said that each season he has a buddy on the set, but they always become killed or turned out to be the murderer or just vanish the next season. In this season, he thought his buddy on the set was Jermaine's character, Randall. So is that a hint that Randall will be killed or he'll be the killer? Arctic Haze writes, "My bet is, unfortunately, Randall will be the killer." You know, the one thing I would wonder, Arctic Haze, and this is nothing against the actor Jeremy Fowler, through the first 4 seasons, the doorman, Lester, his role has been rather small. And if you're an actor, while it's good to have a steady gig, Jeremy Fowler might want to do other shows. And so maybe that's why he might leave at the end of the season, even if he isn't the killer. I have not been watching the official post-show podcast. I know I'm a bad fan. Here's more feedback about Randall. Kathy wrote, "Perhaps new doorman Randall is an undercover detective." Kathy, that is a fun idea. I'll start looking and see if there are clues for that. I think that's really smart. A member of the Clue Crew with the handle the1sk, that's the number 1 SK. What if the Arconia staff secretly hated Lester for taking all that money from the mob while they barely survived? Nicky the neck, Tommy the tongue. Someone has to be the brain. The mayor and the billionaires knew the doorman a little too well, so they're definitely not off the list. And Detective Rob Stevens wrote, "I think all 3 billionaires are responsible for Nicky the neck's murder, but got caught by Lester, and so they had to kill him too. They are all covering for each other." Rob ended, "So yeah, the everyone did it theory is where I'm going." Ooh, Rob, very intriguing. That's all the feedback for this week. Next week, we're going to be covering Season 5, Episode 7, Silver Alert. The mayor, he's back. The mayor warns the trio about the billionaires, sending them to investigate further at a villainous lair upstate, as Oliver boots it in an attempted escape. That's going to do it for this video. The secret phrase is, "Hey Fagin, these sausages are moldy," but deliver it much better than I did. I'll talk to you next week.